Today, when it rains, we go inside. We close the door. We stay dry. We turn on the lights. Maybe we complain for a few minutes, then wait for the sky to clear. But ancient humans did not have that luxury. No modern houses, no waterproof jackets, no weather forecast, no dry bedroom waiting for them. So what happened when the rain did not stop? What did humans do? When it rained for days? For us, rain is mostly an inconvenience. For them, rain could decide who survived the night, because in the ancient world, getting wet was not the real problem. Staying wet was cold water on the skin, wind moving through the body, smoke, trapped inside a shelter, food becoming harder to find, fire becoming harder to protect, and every hour of rain making the ground more dangerous. To understand this, you have to imagine life without anything modern. No roof built from concrete, no windows, no heater, no dry clothes in a closet, no supermarket, no phone, no car, no emergency help, just people, the landscape, and weather that did not care if they lived or died. When rain came for a few minutes, that was one thing. But when rain stayed for days, everything changed. The ground turned to mud, animal tracks disappeared, firewood became wet, caves became crowded, rivers rose, small streams became dangerous, hunting became harder, the world outside the shelter became colder, darker, and louder. So the first thing ancient humans needed was simple shelter. Sometimes that meant a cave, a rock overhang, a cliff wall, place where rain could not fall directly on them. Caves were not just dramatic places from old stories. They were practical. A cave could block wind, keep people dry, protect a fire, give a group one place to wait while the world outside became impossible. But here is the problem. Caves were not everywhere, and even when they existed, they were not always empty. Animals used caves too. Bears, hyenas, predators, other groups of humans. So finding shelter was not just about seeing a hole in the rock. It was about asking, is it safe? Is it dry? Can we defend it? Can smoke escape? Can we stay here without getting trapped? Because a cave could save you, but the wrong cave could kill you. And if there was no cave, ancient humans had to make shelter from whatever the land gave them: branches, wood, leaves, grass, animal, skins, bones, stones, mud. They did not need a perfect house. They needed something that could do one thing: keep enough rain off their bodies for long enough to survive. A simple lean-to, frame of branches covered with hides, a windbreak near a rock wall, a low shelter close to a fire. Nothing fancy, nothing modern, but enough to keep children warmer, enough to keep tools dry, enough to protect embers, enough to give the group a chance. Because in a long rain, fire was everything. Fire meant heat, light, cooked food, protection from animals, a center for the group. But fire was also fragile. Rain could kill. It wet wood made smoke, too much smoke. Inside a shelter could make it hard to breathe. Too little cover, and the flames died. So ancient humans had to protect fire like it was alive. Because in a way, it was. They had to keep dry wood hidden, keep embers covered, feed the fire carefully, build it where rain could not reach it, but smoke could still escape. That balance mattered. A shelter with no fire could become freezing. A shelter with too much smoke could become dangerous. And outside, everything needed to make fire might be soaked. That is why the rain was not just weather. It was a test of planning, test of memory, a test of whether the group had chosen the right place before the storm arrived. Because survival was not only about what they did during the rain. It was about what they did before it. Where did they camp? Did they stop near high ground? Did they avoid places that could flood? Did they keep dry material? Did they know where animals would move? Did they understand the land? The people who survived were not always the strongest. They were the ones who paid attention. They knew that a dry cave mattered. They knew that a river could rise. Overnight, they knew that wet cold could be as dangerous as teeth and claws. They knew that bad weather could trap a group in one place and make every choice smaller. When rain lasted for days, food became another problem. Animals moved differently. Some hid, some followed higher ground. Some tracks were washed away. Plants became harder to gather. The group might have to eat whatever they had already collected. Dried meat, stored, nuts, roots, leftovers, anything that could last. But not every group had food stored. And if the rain kept going, hunger became part of the shelter. People waited, listened, watched the sky, checked the fire, checked the children, checked the old and injured, because long rain was not just uncomfortable. It could separate a strong group from a weak one. The cold would find the weakest were children, injured, people, older people, anyone already hungry, anyone already sick. For them, a few wet nights could be deadly. So the group mattered. People stayed close, shared warmth, shared food, shared space, maybe argued, maybe feared the same things, maybe waited in silence while rain hit stone and animal skins above them and outside. The world kept changing. Mud could trap feet, slippery rocks could break bones, flooded streams could block the path back. Predators might come closer to shelters, and every sound in the dark could mean danger. That is the part we forget. Ancient humans did not live in a world made for them. They lived in a world they had to read. Rain changed the signs. It erased tracks. It hid smells. It made movement louder in some places and completely silent in others. The same forest that helped them survive one day could become a maze the next. So when it rained for days, they did not just wait. They managed risk. They protected fire. They stayed near shelter. They repaired covers. They watched water levels. They kept tools close. They stayed together. They saved energy. And when the rain finally stopped, they had to move fast, dry things, find food, repair shelter, look for tracks again, check the land, decide whether to stay or move somewhere safer. Because after the rain, the danger was not always over. Floodwater could still be high. The ground could still collapse. Animals could be hungry too. And a group that had spent days trapped in one place needed food quickly. That is why this question matters. What did ancient humans do when it rained for days? They survived by knowing the land better than we can imagine. They found shelter before they needed it. They protected fire like treasure. They used skins, branches, caves, rocks, and memory. They stayed close to each other. They waited when waiting was safer. They moved when moving was necessary, and they learned again and again, storm after storm, generation after generation, because every long rain taught a lesson: where not to sleep, which cave stayed dry, which wood burned even when damp, which paths flooded, which animals disappeared, which places became death traps. The rain was not just something that fell from the sky. It was a teacher, a threat, a wall, a test that returned over and over again. And the humans who passed that test left something behind. Not just tools, not just bones, not just cave paintings. They left us because somewhere in the deep past, our ancestors sat in the dark, under stone, under skins, beside a small fire they could not afford to lose, while rain fell for days outside, and they made it through, not because the world was kind, but because they learned how to survive it. Subscribe for more true stories drawn in simple lines.